You are joining me here on step 3, the power of identity. And this is in how it relates to you as a violin teacher who is desiring to grow your studio. The subtitle of this series is What I Wish I Knew When I Started My Studio 10 years ago. And my hope is that by learning through some of my trials and errors, you can have a more streamlined experience and really go right into more teaching into your community. If you haven't joined me on my website, the link is below, and I'll share a little bit more information about this at the end. So, a story here. I moved to Oregon 10 years ago, and I have a tradition of going home for Christmas yearly, and I had just started my studio. It was my dream. I had been teaching at a music school prior to moving here, so my dream was to own my own studio. And I go home for Christmas, and my uncle looks at me and he goes, "You're a small business owner now." And I was so baffled. Truly will never forget that moment when he said that to me, because okay, maybe I was. That wasn't my identity. I was a Suzuki violin teacher, and I took that seriously, and I worked hard and diligently on that. I was a violinist, I was an educator, I was a composer, but I didn't know I was a small business owner. And that lack of connecting that identity really held me back. Now, if you're like me, you might think business means some pretty negative connotations. You might think business means corporations who dump oil into the ocean, greed, a disdain for human life. I'm going to invite you to expand the way you look at it, be a little more open-minded, and think of business means, to have a business means you have a message. That's all. And I think that's pretty beautiful. What is your message that you want to go out and say to the world? So, when we look at, this is the Music for Young Violinists project, one of my messages of that is to cultivate joy and focus in the learning process. I'm going to share some of those on the blog. You can read a little bit more about that, but you will really benefit from shifting your attitude to that. And that again goes into step 2, which is having that personal statement clearly defined for you and your prospective students. It should be containing some of that message. And when you're really clear on that, you don't have to sell anything, because you're just being you. And you're just promoting your values. You're in alignment with that higher version of yourself. So please get clear about that. It might feel like an esoteric step that's unnecessary. I'm going to talk about websites, I'm going to talk about business cards and all of the nuts and bolts, but it makes a difference. Now, in thinking about owning a small business, a couple things that you could do: look into your local community college and just take a small business course. Go online, YouTube, tips for small business owners. I bet you'll find some fantastic things. Take a small business owner out for lunch and ask them what they wish they knew when they got started. There's a group called Business Network International. These things exist, so you can find your local chapter of that. I'll put some links in below. And there's a second part of establishing this identity. So when we can identify as a small business owner, we're going to, let me back up. When you think of yourself as a small business owner, you're probably a one-man band. You are the secretary, you design the schedule, you do the graphic design, you do curriculum development, you're the director, you do the banking, maybe you're the janitor. It's a lot of hats. And I know when I was teaching, I really learned the hard way by not having sustainable policies. So that's the second part of this. When you're crafting your policies, and if you're expanding your studio, this is a fantastic time to do that, truly. You will save yourself heartache, time, energy, and money by carving out some time in your schedule and getting clear on these. And I'm going to give you 3 examples to illustrate how this can better prepare you to move forward. The first thing that I see a lot of studio teachers missing out on by not having this identity is in your makeup policies. So let me give you an example here. Johnny goes to a local private school, which is a small business, and was gone one day that week because they went to Disney World. So Johnny's mom called up the school and said, would you mind opening up on Sunday for us? We could get it there about 11 and you can bring all the teachers in and the cafeteria and everything, and that would be great. It's laughable, right? But as private music teachers, we do that a little too much. Now, some of us are going to be in points of our career, perhaps we're parenting, perhaps we're performing, or we're traveling a lot, and we need that flexibility ourselves. So we're going to ask that from our students, and we're happy to give that back. I'm not talking about that teacher. I'm talking about the teacher that just extends themselves so much that they drain themselves and get burnt out. So I would carefully explore how you word that in your policies. Number 2, tuition. Perhaps you pay a mortgage or some type of a rent, and when we do that late, we're hit with a fee. That is how the world works. When your students pay you late, all of your bills are late, you eat the cost, you have to administrate that. That's your time, that's your resources. At the very least, there should be a late fee toward that. I'll be forthcoming with you. I got to a point in my career where I decided I would no longer do late fees, because if a student was persistently late with tuition, I'm not referring to an emergency or an extenuating circumstance. Persistent lateness, they would receive a diplomatic letter from me inviting them to find another studio that was more in line with their value system. The third example I can think of is tardiness. I love massages, and in a dream life, I would be getting them on a regular basis. I don't. So when I do go, it's a lot of my hard-earned money, and it's a very special time for me, and I am there plenty early because I don't want to miss 10 seconds of that. Now, if I were 20 minutes late to my massage, my masseuse would not push everybody else 20 minutes past. She would not go over. It's a cost I just eat. I don't get deducted in my payment. It's just my loss. And again, another thing for you to contemplate as you're crafting your studio policies, like a small business owner, so that they're sustainable, so that you can really stay in this for the long run. So, sorry, that was a little bit longer than most videos here. The Music for Young Violinists project is a labor of love, and what I've decided to do is, if you're interested in sponsoring more content and just being an active part of this, I'm selling a PDF of all 7 steps for $20 on the website, and it includes a $20 gift certificate to my online store. I'm so grateful for your support, though even just watching this for me it just lights me up. So we're gonna see you on the next video, and we're gonna talk about an internet presence. I've got some great things in store for you there. See you soon.